Hi there, everybody, and welcome to the Growth Execution Podcast. This is the sixth episode in our launch season, season 3. Delighted to be joined by Jamie Parks of Tenant Shop. Hi, Jamie, how you doing?
Very well, thank you, buddy. You?
Yeah, really well, thank you. Very well indeed. It is looking delightful wherever you are. Where are you?
You know what? This is my lounge. This is the best corner of the lounge. It looks like an exotic jungle somewhere in a tree house, which would go well with your theme. But it's it's a builder. It used to be a balcony, and now it's just got some glass there. So it looks a lot better than what it is. I'm not.
Maybe I thought that jungle that they're supposed to not be in or something out in Wales, right? I'm a celebrity.
No.
Listen, so good to have you on. As we've discussed, obviously, what a lot of what we are talking about with guests and just in the general in Recession and the business is about launching. How do you launch a business? So I wonder if we could just kind of go straight in. When did you launch your business and why?
Good question. So I launched my business in 2008, right in the middle of the recession. Not planned, but it ended up being the right products for that sort of time. Now, I could sit here and say to you I planned it because of the time and the products and fit with the time. But I'll be honest with you, it was a bit of luck, right place, right time, right products. When I say right time, a recession is never a right time, but what I'm pointing towards is our products were saving people money. So if you haven't got any, it's nice to save it. So 2008, so it is now 12 years old. Is that right?
Congratulations.
Yeah. Wow. And I'm still here. I started with a full head of hair though. So for anybody,
that's the cost.
Anyone that brushes their hair in the morning when they've got a business early doors, get used to it, love it, talk to it, sing to it, do what you do. Because if you go down the route I did, you
12 years later.
It looks good, right? So I was working for a small comparison site, like a small U switch, same sort of thing, different name. And my job was just to get data in to the business to ring for people to save money. So this could be anything from insurance applications, loan applications, debt management applications. It's just really just names and numbers that are people that are doing stuff with money. It was a good opportunity for people to ask them how much you're paying for your energy bills, or are you currently in contract with your media, etc. So I would be speaking to any businesses that would want to work with us in a commercial relationship for managing their leads. So that was for a business. So by chance, really, but I suppose not, because it's the amount of doors you knock for the opportunities to become available to you. And I'll get onto door knocking after that, because I did that as well. So I used to, like I say, insurance company, anyone with names and numbers that are dealing with consumers. So pretty much the open market, to be fair. And I stumbled on the delights of the letting agent, the delights of them. Their data, people that are moving in that need product. So it ended up all systems stop. So what I'm trying to get here is, I kept knocking doors, kept speaking to different businesses. They were working fine. Give us your name, numbers, we'll convert, we'll share the money, no problem. But if you keep persistent in a model and then you find an angle that's unique, which this was, because that you think of the data of a tenant that's moving into a new property, stuff, right? It's an open door to we're here to help. So on the second wind of that, what you got to do then is make sure you make a friend of the letting agent, because you like that data, you want that data, that's going to run your business. So you need to be doing stuff for them, not just go, hi, I'm here, give us your names and numbers and I'll share the money with you. You have to have a good level of service to be rewarded with that lead, not just a case of sending you money. Let's do something for you, become your friend, become a part of your business, make your business better because I'm involved. And then the leads just naturally come through and we're all happy. So was there a big plan behind it, a 5-year plan before launch? No, you just stumbled across it. The reason I stumbled across it is for the amount of doors you knocked and the opportunity. Your percentage of opportunity is a lot higher.
But that's brilliant. Thank you. And we'll dig deeper into that sort of into how your approach to those lettings agents is absolutely fundamental to what I know has been your success. But what was that moment that made you leave the previous business that you were doing your data and all that sort of stuff and go, do you know what? This is so good. I have to do it. I've got to do it.
Exactly. So the next point is having a passion for a product, right? You can sell a car. I sell cars, MGs. Do I like cars? No, all right. Do I like MGs? Not particularly, but I sold them quite well. If I love MG, or if I work for Bentley, I'd sell more because I love them. They're great cars. So because this because this was a bespoke product and it was almost being built, or as the labourers, it was a new business or a new idea, a new concept to market. You fall in love with it quickly. So you naturally, motherly instinct, fatherly instincts, entrepreneurial instincts, whatever, you close to it, you build it, you then start naming a brand, you then start looking at colours, and you naturally fall in love with what you're going to do. And then once you get your forecasts and numbers on paper and project what you think you can do, you just naturally fall in love with your idea. So find something you love, and the rest just flows, and it all comes together with the right partners. Backing, of course, is important.
Yeah.
And
you decided to just go. So this kind of this grew, this kind of blossomed. It started toddling around. Then it became a bit bigger, and you were like, right, this is the thing that I'm going to spend the next 12 at least, maybe 20, maybe 20 years getting stuck into. But like you said, that the kind of the love and the care for that particular product and the people that you are serving is really important, right?
Absolutely.
And how do you kind of visualize those people that you're helping out with Tenant Shop?
Well, so it's twofold, your businesses and consumers. I think just before I move on to that bit, I think the important thing to do is you can sit in your office or you can in your home and talk about your own business and do your own drawings with yourself. What really does help is to talk to others about it. So your friends, your family, people that then they start to realize he's got a passion about this, he's got something going on here. And you'll keep talking, and you eventually talk to the right person that is you on the same level, which is what happened to me, which is where investment come from, because they saw how enthusiastic I was about a product that had a great angle to market. And that's just because of rabbiting. It's not because I've done it the right way or put my details up on an angel's website or something. It's just chatting, and you happen to be in the right surroundings, the right people that join you on your drive, and it's contagious enthusiasm if it's good enough,
Great.
That pushes it on to the next level. So your question then was, sorry, go back to the one.
It was about the customer that you're here to serve, right? So when you think about the letting agent partners or the tenants themselves, do you have a kind of avatar of who those people are, and do you chase those down, or how do you think of it?
Not in particular, just the moving market, really. I mean, you've got consumers that are going to move or buy. Although the brand is Tenant Shop, it would work very well for people buying houses. It's just a label because the volume's bigger, and then we get more numbers through the door. The home buyers haven't quite got the same ring to it, but it worked for them. So, but with the Tenant Shop brand, what you notice about that is it's specific. If you're a tenant, you go, oh, this is for me. This is the bit. Yes. Or if you're a letting agent, that's my angle. If you've gone for a kind of like a neutral brand or the opposite, if you're a home owner, you'd look over this brand. You would. It's not. But the actual idea behind it is, so that's all to do with how you market at front facing then, because all you do is change your color and change your name, and all of a sudden the home buyers want to know what you're up to because of the way you branded it. So we targeted letting agents and the lettings market purely because of the volume of moving people. So people moving in, moving out, and they always need products. And letting agents always need support. So it works really well. It's a good spinning two plates, looking after the tenant. We look after the tenants, we look after you. Those plates are always going to be spinning, and they're going to be lovely, and you're going to make a friend, and you're going to keep the letting agents for a long time, which is what we do. So it's putting. Some people didn't even realize they needed that part of the service in their business until you said, look how much time it will save you. Or do your member of staff like doing that bit of the job? I don't particularly like it, but if I take it off of you and I look after your tenants, you're happy twofold. So it's a scenario of the win-win situation, the catch. Yeah, absolutely. So making sure you're looking after both the consumer and the commercial relationship, the business relationship equally to make this.
Right. And interesting that you launched this in a recession. Now, obviously, right about now, things are going pretty south. There's a lot of people who are thinking about, right, is now the right time to launch my own business? Perhaps I've been sitting in lockdown for the last however many months, possibly 6, possibly longer. And that idea they've been gnawing away at them for years and years, or they've, like you, kind of seen something that there's just such a great opportunity to go for. What did you find was a good thing about launching in a recession?
Well, as I'll say, I won't take too much credit for it because it was kind of a combination. I didn't look at the recession and go, what does the recession need? It was just a timely that I worked for that business and I stumbled across that type of data and that type of data ended up in save. Everybody always wants to save money. Let's not. There's not a bad time to be dealing with us, but it was more of a, when you're in a recession, you can't. The sale of luxury cars probably goes down, and that's not your fault, whether you're great or poor at your job. So I was fortunate. So for people now, what you've got now is a prime time, and I've done it with other kind of small projects and bits and bobs that I'm working on. You've got a lot of thinking time in this lockdown. You're at home, minimize what the GMTV and whatnot, and make sure that you're making good use of your time and not just kicking back, treating it as your semi-prison or semi-holiday or whatever people want to call it. Make use of, even if it's just an hour or two of your day, to go over your ideas and see if they work within the environment that we're currently in. Or imagine setting a business, coming out of what we're in. God forbid if we ever fell back into it, how much would it affect that idea that you've got? If you're online and you're doing funky stuff, the things that are always happening. So although the first lockdown was a complete lockdown, we were only down data by about 48%. So we still had half of people shifting around, which is about 5,000, which meant about 150,000 people still moved in lockdown. So it's one of those markets where people have, the tenancies are up or these get bigger. People have to move, and God bless them, but they've been kinder to the letting agents and estate agents this time around, letting them open and stuff. I mean, they did completely shut their doors, and they still managed to do a bit. I mean, I tip my hats to them all. Even the tenants moving. I mean, that's not a nice time to move. No. In general, moving's rubbish, right? So in that sort of time, I mean, I got eyeballed when I went over to get a pint of milk from the shop. When it was down. How you can move life from one to the other.
I know. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. But again, we were there. So the call center works from home. Our software's online, so it's built in a way that the business can be run remotely, whether it be Barbados. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I'd take that office tomorrow, or wherever it may be. So have a little thought in the back of your mind. If you're building a business now, you've got ideal ideas now. Would it work in this type of scenario if it was to happen again?
Brilliant. And you mentioned a couple of things about the kind of thought process and about this sort of like, how do you get to know this idea? And you said, like, if you're in your lockdown, get your GMTV off, actually sit and think about it properly. I speak to a lot of kind of entrepreneurs, and the difference is that, right? The difference is the person that is not like everybody else who's sitting there thinking, I wonder if, and not actually doing any of the hard thinking. And that's what you found as well, right?
I think one of the key things as well to do, and it sounds simple, but you don't know it unless you're told or you do it yourself, is when you're launching a product or making a product, put yourself in the shoes of someone using it. So from my point of view, I give the letting agent a bit of software to put some stuff on. So I'm testing that, when it comes back from off the dev thing, I'm an agent then. I know they do a great job. I could probably sell a house probably, but I know roughly what they do. Does that make my life easier? Is that quicker? Does that fit with my day? Yes, it does. If I like it in my letting agent boots, that'll be fine. Shift that to the side. I'm a tenant. I'm 3 days away from or I'm a week away from moving into my property. Do I want to call? What would it be about? Can I set your broadband up before you get there? Absolutely. Be that tenant and know what they want, or be that consumer. So I'm being a bit biased to what I do here, but yourself in their shoes and think, do you want the phone call? Do you want an email? Do you want a text? What would you like? Because the majority of the consumer market that you go to will have the same idea as you. If you're Joe Average like me and you think, I'd love a call 2 weeks before I moved in, so my broadband was live on the day. Brilliant. Or do I want it a week after I moved in? Rubbish. What's the point? So you model your business on how you would want to receive it.
Yeah, and I think what's great about that is it's kind of obviously, and one of the questions at the start was why you're doing this, and you've got that passion for it, right? You want those tenants to have that.
By default, it's not like, right, I need to go sit down and learn some passion for what I'm doing here. No. That first, first thing.
You want to know that tenant is so delighted by what they've received, and that's what drives what you do.
Yeah, you can't teach that. Someone says to you, how do you have so much passion for it? It's like a child. A mother will tell you the same thing. How do you love that thing? It's ugly. It's mine. It's exactly the same thing. I know, of course not. But it's natural.
Yeah, thinking about like business as a baby, it's one of those kind of analogies I occasionally go down. One of the things I've always found really quite a fascinating moment is when you do this market research, right? So you go out to a client, so you take a client out to their one of their potential customers, and you say, right, customer, what do you think of this idea? And they tell them it's rubbish, and it's literally like the entrepreneur's baby has been absolutely slated.
Take it away.
That's really important. It's so important you listen to that kind of feedback as well, right? Even if they say it's ugly. And were there any moments that you had where you were told that what you were doing was not quite as good as you thought?
Every now and again, you'd get an agent, I suppose. That's your bread and butter, your client base. If they've got a strong relationship with something in that field, they're naturally on the defensive. That's never going to work. These guys are the best. Get out of my shop. Natural. Yeah. I've probably done that to somebody along the line. Vodafone forwarded up. I'm with O2. What makes you better than them? Not much, really. Same masters in it, let's be honest. So they'll say that they're better. But was there anyone that really put blockers in the way? To be fair, again, I think I was quite lucky there. My only battle was the agents were a bit skeptical. Sometimes I found myself in you're helping me, you're helping them, you're paying me, you give me this for free. There's something up there, Jamie.
Yeah. What's the catch?
What's the classic? What's the catch sort of thing? And the catch is there's always a loser, right? In some kind of, if someone's making money, it's coming from somewhere. And this is just the suppliers that are at the property that aren't set up on the cheap rates. That's all. If they were cheap, I wouldn't have to switch. And then we do it another way. But you are taking business away from the incumbents or whatever. You are making sure that the consumers know that there's unique deals for home movers, not just go to sky.com, because they're not the best deals there. I hope they're not on the call, but they don't give you their deals directly.
No, exactly. They need to go with somebody like you, right? Tenant Shop.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. Yeah.
And in terms of the kind of idea for the name, you've mentioned obviously people gravitate towards things that sound like them. So the Tenant Shop.
Yeah.
To go if I'm a tenant. Does that limit you as well? You mentioned kind of home buyers. Have you got that separate brand, and if so, what is it, and what's the difference between them?
So the difference between the consumer, there isn't a lot, if I'm honest with you, and it's just a badge that we put on it, and that badge has been on there now for 12 years. So we've had the occasional home buyer call in and say, I hear you can help. Have a call the right number, and we can. The systems that we use switch people, save them money on energy, broadband, and insurance. That's it. Forget that. I mean, if the brand was just called Jamie Park saves you money, then it works for everyone, doesn't it? So the volume is just a bit lower for buyers. We haven't the development and stuff has always kind of been put on in the background to make sure that we sort of made the tenant journey perfect, because the tenant does more. Once someone buys a property, that's pretty much it. There's lots that go on in a tenancy. During the tenancy, the checkouts, the check-ins. There's a lot more admin involved in a tenant, so they need more help from us, basically, the letting agent. So a home mover would simply be like the old-fashioned days, where I used to go into places, get numbers and names, and share the money. That's all it would be. There's not much else I need to do, like the check-ins, checkouts, maintenance. The house, when you buy a house, you don't have that. So it's a lot smaller service that will serve a smaller volume of market. But we haven't just yet we've got a logo somewhere that says the Home Buyer Shop. It doesn't roll off the tongue so well, because I've been saying Tenant Shop for the last 12 years. So it is in the roadmap. It just keeps getting put off, because I think we just sort of fell in love with the tenants and the let agents and how they work. I think we shouldn't get people buying homes, though. We should not. But we need to make sure that we're watching our tails with the tenants. Otherwise, we start focusing on home buyers. Somebody else is going to come up the left wing and do something nice for tenants, and where I was left to.
And that's
spin the plates evenly.
So true as well. You've got to keep an eye on the core focus.
Green,
that niche you're working in is a successful niche, and you are doing it so well. You genuinely are. That they don't need to go elsewhere, but you can still have.
It's there, and it should be. You should be able to service. You don't want to limit. You don't ever want to limit yourself to a particular area. I mean, we picked this area because there's a lot more of movement around, so it's a good way to get going, because volume comes with the avenue that we've picked. But it will happen, and we'll have another call at some point where I told you how that went and how it compares and whatnot, and
look forward to that.
To convert to and stuff. But it is on the roadmap. It's just a little bit down the line.
Brilliant. Right, I'm very mindful of your time, and I'm really grateful for you being on. So I'm going to ask a few quick fire rounds before we finish in like 7-8 minutes or so. Think about when you launched the business. What was the thing that surprised you most?
Ooh, what was the thing that surprised me the most? I'm guessing the take up of the idea, or the I think it was the fact that although I spoke to some letting agents that might have been doing their job for 15, 10, 20 years, they were like, that's a good idea. But I'd not been in that field. It was just kind of like, I've got people that can sell stuff. They do that. That's where they're moving to. How about I do a little bit of something for that lead and sell to them? A lot of them were like, this is a great idea. Well done you. Where do I sign? It's not a case of like, oh, yeah. That makes sense. We do it in-house, whatever. It was almost kind of like under all of their noses, close, not enough though, but brought to the surface. So there's a lot of credit for kind of, this is genius.
Yeah.
And it's basically genius, really, because
the best ideas are, Jamie, you know this, right? And I think,
I suppose they're looking at their core activities. Let's get landlords, let's get tenants in, let's get that done. They kind of, a lot of them will, it's a bit, the utilities part of it is a bit that's like, we do it sort of thing, but they really do look at it. If you just look into that a little bit deeper, you go, oh, there is little possibilities in there that can make that horrible little job profitable.
So many agencies sat there going, damn, I wish I thought about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and some did, and or some I helped along the way, sort of thing. But there's plenty out there for us all, so it doesn't matter. But but I suppose that the element of surprise from them, from the experts that were there already, saying, "Yeah, this is a great idea." I mean, blimey, I wasn't a letting agent ever, but it's in well.
Somebody from outside to see it clearly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh. I'd say once you're growing and there is more than you to the business, so you've got people, call centers, you've got staff. But back in the days when I used to knock doors for energy, back then, Scottish Power, Save You Dosh, all that sort of stuff. Hard job, first sales job. And he applied for that job because the advert was upside down in the paper. So I was curious as to what it said. And they did it on purpose. So So the angle was there, and another long story. I'll do another call with you on that one. But that was a case where there's a lot of people that it was a horrible job, really, not a nice job, but they're the people that then will run your business. You've then got people looking after your agents when you used to do it. You've then got people talking to your tenants. So you're relying on people. So back to your question is, you just got to make sure you treat them well. The three things that you need to remember, the most important things about launching a business is you guys, your team, because they're doing your job for you. So they got to paint the same picture that you did in the first place. So look after you guys. Even when we look after utilities, it's not a nice job. It's a bit crappy, if I'm honest. But if you're nice, they won't mind coming into work and they'll do a good job for you. Got
it. And do you need believers? All right. So when you're doing that interview process, do you kind of weed out people who don't share? Is the dream important, or is the functionality important? Do you need
my interview process is different than most. So I've got if you don't take on too much of a superstar, because they end up going somewhere and do what you do, like I did. Well, what I found, my first member of staff, second member of staff, she's still with us today. When I interviewed her, she had 3 jobs straight away on paper. That's colossal. She got the job. If you're doing all that and the types of job they were, that's rough. That's dedicated to work, no matter what they've got to do. So someone that will muck in. Believers, get on well with the personality, but again, don't be too careful to take on the superstars, because then they're the ones that they're risky. They're the ones sniffing around what you're doing and got an eye on doing it themselves. And fair play to them, because that's why we're here. We're talking to the guys now. So be cautious. I think make sure they're the right species that isn't going to damage your business, but also carry the great work that you've done on creating the brand and creating the relationships with the customers, because they're now carrying your face and attitude in the business moving forward. So, yeah.
Really good. Thank you. So thinking about yourself back then, 12 years ago, Jamie, what would be the advice you would give yourself then that you know now? What do you know then that you wish you had known? Yeah, what should I not have done? I suppose we would like to reward ourselves with success, and because the business did quite well early doors. I mean, for the first 4 years, it's 12 years in now, I've worked with 120 letting agents, and that kept me very, very busy.
So, and letting agents, the species to me, they like it. They like to go out. They like to socialize. So, I suppose the way to win business is not always the channel of let's go and see how many bottles of Jack Daniels we can neck and then talk about it and sign if you don't remember. They're taxing on the body sort of thing. So maybe kind of leveled it out a little bit on how we run business and how much we spent on winning business, I suppose. That's the key point. Have a specific budget in mind for who you're signing up, because if you're going to go take someone to the Ritz that's going to give you 5 lets a month, the books don't add up. Don't take that.
It's going to take a long time
To have a good agent. Yeah, exactly. So I would say be careful with your new business budget, because it does get nicer later on down the line when you've got a nice pot to play with. But yeah, early doors, I think you should borrow money to take some clients out to get them on board with it, get the money back in the end.
Yeah.
You need to do all the time. You don't really need to all the time.
But if that's your sales process, that's and also potentially if those customers know the previous customers have been through that process to get there as well, they're going to be
of course, exactly. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Then you got point. You got to hand over the reins. Box clever doors with business winning, definitely. Otherwise, you go broke before your great idea comes out.
or you're just too exhausted.
Yeah, I'm that.
Got it. Jamie, thank you so much for being part of the Great Execution Podcast. Really good to catch up. Final question before you go: what are you doing next? What's on the agenda for the rest of the day?
The rest of today, I've got a nice list of letting agents, 7 or 8 letting agents now that want their energy looked at. So it's the business side. So what that is now is another natural growth of a product that's come out of a product. So I've got 2,000 letting agents now that give me data for consumers. So that's 2,000 letting agents that are paying their own bills in that office. So they're now starting to ask me, can you do anything for my office?
Yeah, brilliant.
Because that are in COVID, the actual prices are quite low for fuel and stuff. So way to go and quote 6 or 7 offices for them to make sure that they can continue moving on forward with their business at a competitive rate. So there we go. Already being forced into the world of commercial, forced into another business channel just because that one's doing well. So on that note, in a business, in a brand, in an area, you'll naturally slip into others because you become their go-to person for, as it seems to me at the moment, energy.
Yeah, exactly. And that adjacent kind of area is one that you can then start to spin up, and that can grow just as well.
Commercial lets, commercial set. Yeah, that does drift into other stuff. And then
stuff out there. Brilliant. Listen, thank you so much. Where can people find out more about you if they're interested in Tenant Shop?
JP at tenantshop.co.uk. Very easy to remember. Tenant Shop, all one word, all spelled how you should spell it. tenantshop.co.uk.
Listen, it's been great. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for your insights. Best of luck. Looking forward to the next golf, and we'll catch up again.
Beautiful. Without a doubt. All the best.